This is my to-read list for 2021. I always think it's helpful to start the new year with a few goals in order to give you a little bit of extra motivation for those long summer days when the humidity starts to slow you down and you don't want to do anything. So here are my goals for the books that I want to read next year. My goal each and every year is to read 52 books, so one book each week. In 2020, I finished with 56 books read, so I'll give myself a little golf clap for that. I made my mark even with hitting a rough patch in the summer. At one point, I was reading too many books by authors with whom I disagree, and reading just became way too much of a chore, and I wasn't enjoying it. So I'm going to try to space out those books a little bit better this year by authors with whom I disagree. I like to set a to-read list of about 25 to 35 books so that I have room to add a few extra books on the fly. And as I just said with the authors with whom I disagree, I also think it's a good idea to spread out the types of books that you're reading throughout the year so that you're reading books you're positive you're going to love alongside ones that you're not so sure about. So if those ones end up weighing you down, you got some great books to keep pulling you along throughout the year. So without anything further for introduction, here is my reading list for 2021. Robert Alter's Hebrew Bible. Now, I'm not going to read all the way through Robert Alter's 3-volume Hebrew Bible, but I'm hoping to read enough of it in order to post a review on it, and then I'll just continue to read through it as I teach or preach through books of the Old Testament in my pastoral ministry. I've started reading some in Jeremiah, and I really like it so far. A literal standard version. I'm not going to read that all the way through since I don't believe that that Bible was produced in order to be read as a devotional Bible or the Bible that you're reading every day in your regular reading. It's more to be used for study, but I want to read enough of the literal standard version this year in order to post a review on it, with my big question being, is this an improvement on Young's literal translation? I'm reading a few books on worldview or social issues in 2021. Live Not by Lies by Robert Dreyer. Why Social Justice is Not Biblical Justice by Scott David Allen. And Another Gospel by Elisa Childers. And if I butcher authors' last names, please forgive me. My next category is Christian history. Dominion, How the Christian Revolution Remade the World by Tom Holland. Early Christianity in North Africa by Francois Decret. And I want to read writings by the Shepherd of Hermas and Tatian this year as well in the Christian history category. So read a couple of those ante-Nicene fathers. I believe the gospel is a free gift from God. It's based on the completed work of Jesus Christ, and we're saved by believing in what Jesus has done and believing in Jesus' promise for eternal life. So I want to read a few books about my free grace theology perspective. So I'm going to read Eternal Rewards by Lucas Kinchin, 2 books by Robert Wilkin, Is Calvinism Biblical? And 100 Faith Alone Verses. Chosen to Serve by Sean Lazar, and Grace in Eclipse by Zane Hodges. I have a few books that fall into the category of authors with whom I know I will disagree. There is The Definitive Guide for Solving Biblical Questions About Mary by Christian Capes and William Albright. Cost of Cheap Grace by Bill Hull and Brandon Cook. The Incredible Catholic Mass by Friar Martin Van Kokum. And Why Do We Baptize Infants by Brian Chappell. A book on evangelism called Reaching the Unreached by Peyton Jones. You could suggest a couple more evangelism books in the comments if you want to. Books on discipleship, or that I'd put under that category. Normal Christian Life by Watchman Nee. Transforming Discipleship by Greg Oden. He That Is Spiritual by Louis Sperry Chafer. Family Shepherds by Vodi Bakum. The Masculine Mandate by Richard Phillips. And Seeing the Unseen by Randy Alcorn. I have 2 biographies on my list: J.R.R. Tolkien, A Life Inspired, John Quincy Adams, A Militant Spirit by James Traub. And if anybody knows of a great biography by John Huss, I'd love to read a book on Huss in 2021. So there is my to-read list for next year. I love book recommendations. 2 of the books on my list were recommended by viewers of this channel. So please pass on your recommendations in the comments. Let me know what you think about my list, and if there's any books that I'm going to be reading in 2021 that you're going to be reading alongside with me, let me know that as well. So if you enjoy what you're seeing here in Rev Reads, I'd encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel in order to get some great book reviews in 2021.